Ta-da! Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
welcome.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Man, I'm great.
Good. You look
Welcome
great.
everyone to Don't Worry Wednesday. I tell you, we're not all that worried about the fact that our server's down.
Yep.
So we
Which
decided
will be no.
we're gonna do the show anyway, because yeah, we're still working some stuff out apparently. The server moved locations what, about a month ago?
Yeah, and it's been running pretty fine.
Yeah, it's been running
The whole
great.
time.
Yep.
But today there's a little hiccup in the machine somewhere. I don't know what's going on with it, and my brother's not home to assess it.
All right.
So
Yep.
he said
So
he'd
at
be
any rate,
home about this time, though.
yeah, he's probably gonna be figured out. Actually, it'll probably be back up sometime during the live stream we're expecting.
Hmm.
So yeah, but appreciate all of your guys' patience while we do that. And yeah, so Jesse might be pulling double duty tonight as our producer and as helping to try and figure out the
Yeah.
server issue with Kyle on the other end too. So yeah, so welcome everyone again, because it's
Thanks, Joe.
Wednesday. Yes.
Welcome Wednesday.
Welcome Wednesday. Everyone's welcome Wednesday. So
Yes.
it's going to be an interesting show. This is a show where, for those of you who've been here before, you know the drill. This is a show where we handle any issues, challenges, or any stuff that you might be handling. We talk about it. You can feel free to post it in the chat, or you can email us at dww@bss.studio. You can message myself, Ryan, or Princess on Discord. But
Mhm.
today, for right now, you cannot go to bss.studio and put it on the website. Our email servers are still working, so you can send an email to dww@bss.studio. Just not put it on the website. So
Yeah. Oh well.
yeah, yes. So at any rate, yeah, we're not professionals. We're not counselors. We're not doctors or lawyers or policemen or attorneys or orthopedic surgeons or football players or anything like that.
Do you know what a foot doctor's called?
Podiatrist.
There you go. We're not those.
We are not
Do
those.
you know what a hand doctor's called?
No.
Same thing. Because sometimes you walk on your hands.
Really? Or firefighters. Yes. We are not
They're
those.
not called the same thing. I don't know what they're called.
I don't know either. So, but we're not those. Someone asked you what a foot doctor was today. Yeah. Well, no. Hey, podiatrist. I always
Well,
get
there you
that.
go. Wow, that's pretty funny.
I always get podiatrist and proctologist mixed up,
Oh yeah, those are
but
different.
you don't want to mix that up.
Yeah, podiatrist is easy to remember because it's got ped in it, like biped or pedestrian, someone who walks on their
Yes,
feet, as opposed to an equestrian, who is someone who walks on a horse.
that's someone who walks on a horse.
Yeah, so if you walk on the street on your 2 feet, it's a pedestrian. It's usually because you have bipeds, ped, meaning feet, your own feet. If you walk on a horse on the street, you're equestrian.
I yes.
Yep. I think
Well,
it's walk by means of horse, not walk on the horse itself, but I like to say you walk on the horse. A pedicure, there you go, is also for a foot. And a manicure is for hands. So does that mean it's a maniatrist for hands? That sounds maniacal.
I don't know. I don't. It does. It does sound very maniacal. Somebody needs to Google what a hand doctor is, and they figure it out. Um, but yeah. So at any rate, because it's a mannequin, yes.
Oh,
Um,
pediatrician. Ah, yeah.
that's a children's doctor.
Mm-hmm. But it
I
also
know
has
that because
PED
I've
in it.
got
I
children's.
understand.
Yes. Well, so because the website is down, we don't have access to any of the topics that are all queued up for you guys. So we are going fully live.
Mm-hmm. right here, right now.
Yep. So if you
So
guys have a topic, then the best thing you can do is put it in the chat. And we would be happy to handle if you guys have any questions, anything you'd like us to talk about, anything at all. We're just gonna kind of open it up. You want us to talk about stuff you're going through. You want us to talk about podiatrists.
yeah, apparently.
Yep. Oh, Cherry. Cherry's got one.
Okay.
Cherry says, my topic is somewhat simple.
Oh,
I
okay.
just haven't seen the girl again and anxious about it. So Cherry's
Mm-hmm.
there was a situation. This was the one on the bus, right? Was this the girl on the bus that
Yeah,
sat next to
I'm guessing.
you and wrote you a little note that said she thought you're awesome? Uh-huh.
Cute, even.
Yes, cute. That was it. Yeah. So okay. Well, wow. So this has been like over a week then, and you haven't seen her again. Yeah. So Cherry says, I'm afraid that she's moved or doesn't normally take the bus. But it could just be my anxiety. And I haven't seen her since she gave you the note. So yeah, I totally can understand the frustration and the anxiety and everything. I mean, truth be told, I guess you never really know. I mean, this is a person, I know that you'd seen this person before because you had mentioned that you kind of thought the
Hmm.
same about her and you'd seen her in school and everything. And
Yeah, I remember them saying when they got on the bus, you turned your head away because you recognized her, but you find her attractive and you didn't want to stare at her, which totally relatable.
mhm. And it's somewhat ironic considering
Mm,
she drew a little ghost next to where she signed her name. Yeah.
jeez.
So drew a little ghost and then kind of ghosted you for a while, like, oh, I'm out of
Yeah.
here.
And then
So
you got ghosted. Ooh.
yeah. Ooh. So wow, Cherry, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that you got to deal with that. I know that for me, a lot of times, um, just not having contact with someone, even if it's someone close to me, not having contact for a while, my brain starts to go through all these things like, oh, they're probably mad at me, or they're probably, this or that or whatever. And they could just be busy with stuff and they just didn't have a chance to get in touch with me or whatever. I've had that happen before, but my brain just goes in all kinds of directions. It's like, oh, they're probably mad. And what do they have to be mad at me about? And I start getting mad back. Like
Oh no. Oh no. This is not a road you want to go down.
no, like it's like, well, fine, and then I start justifying myself and all kinds of things, and it never was a thing at all, ever, nothing.
Humans, am I right?
It's crazy. So
Oh
anyway, I'm going to
gosh.
turn it over to Ryan before I destroy it. So Ryan, what do you have?
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you got her name. But it seems like you do. So here's the thing. You know, I swear this type of thing has happened to me before. Definitely not that scenario like yours, but I think we've all been in a similar scenario at some point where we need to talk to somebody and then all of a sudden we can't find them for like a week or 2 weeks or like a month and we're just like, okay, forget it. um, so there are plenty of reasons that she hasn't been on the bus or you haven't been able to run into her. And I'll like Joe was saying, you don't want to jump to conclusions. You don't want to think that you did something wrong or assume really anything. Um, but I mean, she could be sick. She could be like really sick or something. She's
Hmm.
just been sick for like a whole week. That
It's
happens.
definitely possible.
Um, or she could be, getting different ride home. She could literally actually be avoiding you because she's scared of what she did, and she's like, "Oh, geez, now I can't confront him face to face, and now it's already been a week, so now I really can't confront him face to face, you know? Um, so if she goes to your school, I know this is a bit maybe weird, but if she goes to your school and you have her name, you can try to find out where she is, what classroom she's in, and then go there. I've You can track her down and do this, and I know that school is not usually like a place to do this, but you can go to the office and say, "Hey, I'm looking for blah blah blah." I have to give them a note. I just don't know where they're at right now. And then the teachers will use, or the people at the office will usually be like, "Oh yeah, hold on, let me check. They're currently in this class." And I'll say, "Okay, thanks." And then you can head down there and give her the note, even though it's a love note. You don't have to tell them what it is, right? And it's not necessarily a love note, but it is a note that returns the kindness. And yeah,
That's a
stalker time.
talk.
Yeah, you can do that in school. You can find out where she is, go there, knock, and then say, "Hey, I just need what's her name? I don't know her name because it's you have it, I don't." But be like, "Hey, I just need Carissa for a second," and then the teacher will be like, "Okay, here you go." And then when she comes out, you give her the note, and then you can walk away. I mean, literally, you can do that. If you've got the brevity, if you can be brave enough. I know that's not necessarily easy to do, um, but that's some advice for you, um, because well, of course, it takes an insane amount of courage to do that. Because not only are you putting yourself in front of her, you're also putting yourself in front of the office, in front of the teacher, and then in front of her. Um, and if the teachers aren't that nice, though, they'd ask, "What for?" And then I die. The teachers at my school weren't that bad. They would ask what for, though. And you could just be like, "Hey, I'm supposed to give this to her." Um, as simple as that, you know. Be like, "Well, what is it?" And it's just like some kind of no, I don't know. And they'll be like, "Okay," you know. Um, and if they pester you about it, you could just tell the truth and be like, "Well, honestly, so this is the situation. She was on the bus one day, and then I haven't been able to find her since, and I'm just making sure she's all right, and don't know what's happened to her.
Mhm.
She doesn't seem to be on the bus, so I was wondering if she was even coming into school, and I'm trying to see if she's all right. You
Yeah.
could go with that. Um, so, anyways, there's a couple of options for you to run with there. Um, and I would say just like, yeah, social anxiety is the worst. Yeah. Don't worry, everybody's got that.
Mhm.
Pretty much everybody in the world's got that.
Even
Um,
teachers have that.
oh yeah, even teachers, and they deal with people. That's their thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, but what the thing is everybody's got fear. Everybody's got that anxiety, the social anxiety, that worry about what other people are gonna think and stuff like that, right? The question is, are you man enough to just go, you know what? I don't mean man enough as like you have to be a man or a woman. I just mean, do you have the strength, the inner strength to say, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyways. I've got the ability to choose my own actions, and I'm going to choose this one, regardless of regardless of my fear, regardless of what other people say, regardless if I get turned down. Um, this is my choice, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this. This is my goal, and I'm gonna get there one way or another. You know, as long as I don't hurt anybody along the way. Um, I think, you know, just as I said, everybody's got that fear. It's just a matter of if you've got the inner desire and control to say, I recognize that fear, I'm gonna go beyond it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna give it 7 million thoughts. I'm just gonna give it the two I already gave it and go for it, you know? Um, and then just do it. Because here's the thing. I think we've all been in the situation where it's like, man, it's so scary to take an action.
It is.
But then as soon as you can just start doing it, you realize that there's nothing stopping you from doing it except for yourself. And once you start going, you can continue. It's just like, like maybe I've got this water bottle and I'm afraid that it's going to shock me. But if I just go, wait a minute, I can just grab it and just deal with the shock, Oh, wait, it didn't shock me. Okay, it's no big deal, right? Like, you just have to put your mind in a place where it's like, I can do this. I can take action. All I'm doing is physical actions, right? And that's all that I'm doing. I don't have to worry about whether people are going to get mad at me or whatever, or, people are going to think I'm weird or whatever. All of that doesn't matter because really all I can control is my own actions, and I can't control what they think, right? You just have to start taking the actions. That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you start, you realize that you're the one in control. As soon as you start, you find that it's not so hard to keep on going. It's just a matter of starting. That's usually the hardest part when it comes to fear and anxiety. But anyways, that's my best advice there for you for trying to figure out how to get a hold of her. If you know any of her friends, which I'm not sure that you do, but if you do, then go find them and ask them if she's all right. And, but yeah, I hope you run into her sometime soon. But again, like Joe said, don't jump to conclusions. Don't think that she's, you know, try not to assume she's like run away from like home or something. I don't know, or that she doesn't like you anymore, or that she, left or moved or something. You don't know. Just wait. Figure it out instead of worrying about what it could be. Just figure out what it could be. Figure out what it is. Because if you sit there and you worry and you don't talk to anybody about it, that might know, your mind is going to go to all sorts of different places. But none of it is known. None of it is true. But if you just, instead of wasting all of that thought and energy on creating scenarios, you can use that energy to go talk to somebody that knows her. You can use that energy to actually find out the truth. And that's a lot better of an action, a lot better of a use of time. I think we've all been in both of those places before. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to let it go over to Joe now and see what he's got to say.
Well, first of all, I have a new band name that you just inspired me. Electric
Nice.
Water Bottle.
Electric water bottle.
I was like, hey, this water bottle is going to shock me. It's like, oh, the electric water bottle.
The electric water bottle. It was a weird example, but it's just like, in life, there's those things where it's like you're afraid of it. But as soon as you just start, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And everybody, like Ryan was saying, everybody has that social anxiety.
Mm-hmm. You'd be like, I can take it.
And I've known science was talking about it too in the chat, where, excuse me, doesn't matter people's age. People everywhere, all around us, have social anxiety all the time. Even, the people you would least likely think that would have social anxiety or ought to have social anxiety. I mean, I get to know a lot of the people, the teachers and the administrators at the school that my kids go to, because my wife works there. And so like she's friends with all these people and everything. And so I kind of get to be, I get to talk to these people a lot and everything. And I'll tell you, they're just the same as people in high school, the people in school. Like they're people. They're nervous. They wonder what other people think about them. They're tripping over their words sometimes to try and figure out the right thing to say, and they're all different kinds of personalities, and they've all got different kinds of traits. So, I remember, I think we touched on this when we talked about it last week, was the thing about being welcoming to others, and in particular being welcoming to this girl, the next time you see her. And it's got to be frustrating because we told you all this stuff about how you can handle it, and then she's just not been there, so you haven't even been able to try any of it.
Yeah.
Like even if you were planning on, like, okay, I like what Ryan said. What Joe said, we'll just flush it. But what Ryan was
Yeah.
talking about was
Joe's always
great.
got the good stuff. I don't know why
And
you would ever
and
listen to me.
so so what we're gonna do, I want to do that thing that Ryan was saying, and so I'm gonna try it, and then she's just not there, and then that's one of the most frustrating things of all,
Mm-hmm.
when there's just there's no contact, so you don't even have the chance. But I'll tell you, it's like that everywhere you go. People just don't open up, and this kind of can go into just interpersonal relations in general, where we're talking with other people, talking to people we don't know, excuse me, or striking up conversations with someone maybe we want to be their friend, but we don't, we don't want to, we're scared to make the first move, or we're afraid to talk to people and all that. you know if you just start, if you can become a conversation starter, that it's amazing where those things will take you. My classic line everywhere I go is, "Wow, you guys having fun in here today?" or something. It's just like, "Hey, you guys having fun in here today?" You know, or, "You having fun out there today? You having fun in here today? Fun out there today?" It's fun. Or, "How's it going? How are you doing today?" People. I know other people who say that, right? And all it does is it just opens up the opportunity to have a conversation. You look at someone, you smile, "How's it going today?" And sometimes they look at you like,
Mm.
"Do
Only if
I
they're
know
from Michigan.
you?"
Nah.
Yeah, right. Only in Michigan. I don't think I know you. Do I know you? No, I don't know you. Or you can play it off. You can put, you look exactly like somebody I know. I'm so sorry. I totally thought you were someone else. But how you doing anyway? you know?
Yep.
Reminds me of this movie. I don't even remember the movie, which one it was. There's a guy. He was like, I'm gonna figure out. He was a detective, and he had to figure out some stuff, and so he was like at this bar, and he started acting like he'd been drinking some, and he looked over at someone, and he's just like, "Phil, Phil, how you doing, Phil? Where you been? Blah blah blah." And it's like the guy's totally not Phil, and he knew it, but he was
Mm-hmm.
just trying to get some information. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." He's like totally, played it off as being the wrong person, but
Uh-huh.
totally looked like Phil. But you can play that game too. I'll tell you this.
Well, don't pretend to be drunk, though.
Right? Yeah, you don't have to pretend to be drunk.
Yeah.
That, especially at school, might get you in
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but when I use that, we'll just get back to my opening line. You having fun in here today? You guys having fun on here? You guys having fun? A lot of times, it goes nowhere. The conversation just goes nowhere. It goes, they answer yes, no, blah 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 blah, whatever, and then it's done. But there are precious moments where it turns into this like 5 minute long conversation, and I get to
Mm-hmm.
know this person, and it's like, you get to really learn about somebody, and they get to know you, and you leave with good feelings about each other, and then the next time you see them, you don't have to go through all that again. It's just you kind of pick up where you left off. You kind of start a friendship that way. But that only happens if someone's willing to break the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, you had this gal who was willing to break the ice in her own special way, and now you're looking to expand it, and she's gone. Like, I'm so sorry, Cherry, that you're dealing with that, because for me, that'd be so frustrating. So frustrating.
I couldn't. Yeah.
I remember there when there we were involved in a business where we had to make phone calls. We were trying to you know, contact others to share what we had to offer. And I remember getting myself all psyched up because I hated doing phone calls. I hated it. I hated it with a passion. Like I'm like, I want to call these people. I hated it. I was so nervous all the time. But then once I'd get myself to the point where I could do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I would start doing it and nobody would answer.
I remember that, dude.
It's like, no, like that's so terrible. That was worse than having them answer and reject me on the phone was the non-answers. That was the worst. So I totally feel your pain. What? You're in the shower and you just slipped and fell.
Well,
What are you doing in the shower? Typing on your phone.
oh my gosh. They got a waterproof phone or something, probably.
I hope so. Wow. Oh, good. Wow.
Hey, welcome to No Worry Wednesday. We'll join you in the shower sometime.
Yeah, and if you go and listen to "Grow" by A Single Duel, you'll hear some shower vocals.
Mm.
Some of those were recorded.
Someone's recording in the shower, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was good.
Nice.
Hey, Marandi, yes, thank you. It is a nice hat. It keeps my head warm, which in turn keeps the rest of my body warm.
I see.
The phone is fine, but a ton of water just spilled everywhere. Yes, shower vocals are great.
That's great, Sophia.
So anyway,
I prefer solo showers. There's this great song. I know I shared it with Joe a long while back. I can't remember it, but it's about taking showers alone and not with other people. I'll see if I can find it.
taking showers alone and not with other people.
Yeah. It was great.
Well,
anyways,
Cherry, I have to say, hopefully everything's okay with you there in Showerland. But I really appreciate the update on this whole situation. I really appreciate you keeping us posted on that. And I'm really sorry that it's kind of turned out the way it has. But like Ryan was saying, it could just be that she's been sick. My youngest son, missed 2 weeks of school when he had pneumonia. 2 weeks. Like,
yeah.
Now some of that there were a couple of days in there where school was canceled, like because they had teacher in service days or whatever, so they didn't have school on a couple of those days. But he literally did not go to school for 2 full weeks. So his class, they didn't see him for 2 full weeks. Akil says probably chicken pox. That could be true.
Could be.
Chicken pox, pneumonia. There's all kinds of sicknesses that can lay people out for weeks.
Oh yeah.
And that's tough. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to see her again. But one thing to keep in mind though is remember that feeling. Relive the feeling you got. Because I remember when you came on and you were explaining this situation to us, how excited you were, how it uplifted you so much. It's okay to relive that moment and feel those feelings again. In fact, I would recommend it. It's great to replay those moments, because how often, think about it, how often do we replay moments from our lives? And we usually replay the bad ones.
That's true.
I do it all the time. I'm naturally a negative person, so I will replay, yeah, Ryan knows, see?
I totally misread Sophia's comment. I thought she said, I know a friend who had to leave. It made sense. Hold on. I had a friend who had to leave school for a while because she had to get her toenails removed and she couldn't walk for a while afterwards. And I was like, oh, wait, why? Why would you ever have that happen? And then I looked at it and it says tonsils and talk, not toenails and walk. Ow.
That makes way more sense.
To get every one of my toenails removed. Sorry, everybody, for that. I'm sure my mind just died. So I made that face. I'm sorry.
Well, Akil says Joe's coffee mug is always half empty. It kind of is that way. That's I have worked really hard to be more positive, but naturally my natural tendency is to tend toward negative. And I think a lot of us do that. And we replay negative moments all the time. But you had just such a positive moment with this gal on the bus a week ago. And relive that. Relive those feelings again. It'll be okay. So, Ryan, do you have anything else about this topic?
No, not really. I don't I don't really have anything else I can add to it. But thanks for asking, Jerry, and thanks for sharing with us. Yeah, we asked for updates, so I'm glad you had something to give us. I'm looking forward to the next update being one that you've made contact with her. Hopefully you can find her. Again, I gave you some examples of how you might be able to find her if you know her friends, or if you know what classes she goes to, and if you don't, you can go to the office and find out. But if you feel like you can't do that, it's understandable. It is hard to get the strength and courage up to do that, but you can do that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. Hopefully, yeah, you come in contact with her soon.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for the topic.
Yeah, thanks.
You're amazing.
Thanks for sharing.
Yep. So I just noticed BSS.studio is still not up.
Aw.
I checked. And yeah, it's still not there. So feel free, anyone who's here, this is a live only show right now because we have no access to our archive of topics. So yeah, post something in the chat. It looked like Marhandi. I think that's the right way to say it. If I'm mistaken, then please correct my.
It could be Marchandi, but it might be Mahandi. Viscara.
Yeah. So
it's got that double R. You got to roll that.
Viscara. So yes, and actually here's the post.
All right. Okay.
Marhandi says, I fell in love and the girl appeared to too, and we got to know each other. Unfortunately, it's all online and I can't be there for her. She's under a lot of stress and I wish I could help her. But I accidentally did something to cause her more stress. It's Marhandi. Yes.
Marhandi.
Thank you.
Marhandi. Okay.
Accidentally did something to cause her more stress. That's too bad. So if you want to continue to expound on that, feel free to. But that's wow, that's a tough situation
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've I've been there so many times when you know I may have the best of intentions, and then you know something I say or do just totally makes the situation worse. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally wasn't even trying to do that. I'm so sorry, you know.
Mhm.
And but you can't seem to you can't ever go back and redo it. You know, you're kind of there and it's done. And the best you can do sometimes is just apologize and really try and make things better,
Mhm.
and help them and yourself to move past it. But yeah, wow, I'm really sorry to hear about that. But Ryan, did you have anything to talk about? Because I'm gonna turn it
Sure.
over to you, being the host and all.
Oh
You're
yeah, thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it.
I'm gonna
You know,
take
you're
my
doing
spotlight and I'm gonna shine it up at you.
okay.
I can see the light in your glasses.
Yeah, yeah, that's what you did. You did that for everybody. And for me. So yeah, I like Achilles, but what you can do is you can own up to it. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, relationships are a fragile thing, and the closer you get to somebody, it seems the easier it is to hurt each other. Um, oh, they said, and I'm worried about her. I know she's strong, but I don't know how strong she is. I was trying to ask how my friends, uh, how to be best for her. Wait, wait, wait. Hold on. I might be reading this wrong. I was trying to ask, um, oh, okay, okay. You were trying to ask your friends how to be, how to act or how to be the best for her. And so you showed them your DMs, which probably had her in it. And then that probably made her stressed out
Uh,
because now her messages that were only for you were shared with people that um, they were not for.
uh,
That might be the case. And yeah, I think that a lot of us have done that before. Um, that's one of those things that, that can happen in the real world and it can happen online. You share something with somebody and they told you that in, confidentiality, or rather, they told you that only to you for a specific reason. And they didn't want anybody else to know, or they just felt insecure that you would share what they had to say because now they don't know if they can trust you because um, you just let everything out of the bag, even though it was nothing important. Um, they feel like they gave you their own self, and then you shared that self with other people, and they didn't want you to, with people that they don't even know. So some people get that way. I personally, I'm not really that way. I don't mind if people share what I say, but I know a lot of people who are. I know a lot of people who are, and a lot of times people who are, um, yeah, they're slightly insecure. They're not, um, you know, it would be nice if we could all be 100% transparent, but unfortunately, none of us are good enough for that. We all make too many mistakes.
mhm.
Yeah, we all do too many bad things, and it feels like we don't want other people to know about that. Um, we don't want other people to know who we are. So when you get close to somebody, the relationship can be destroyed by trying to share that with other people, um, which is really unfortunate. It really depends on the strength of each person involved, whether the relationship can handle certain things or not. One of the beautiful things about relationships is that it tests those waters. Um, when you have a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship relationship, You will have problems. You will always have problems within that relationship
Mhm.
if you guys are close.
Yeah.
At some point, there's going to be a disagreement. At some point, someone's going to say something that hurts the other one on accident. At some point, that might even happen on purpose. At some point in the relationship, you're going to show your bad sides.
Mhm.
And at some point in the relationship, they're going to show you theirs. Good. Because the friendship is there to help each other grow beyond that. If we never showed our bad sides to the people who we are friends with, then how can they help us through that and become better people? You continues that she is under a lot of stress. She has a lot of responsibilities from school, work, family, and other things. She is having hardships with family right now. She's been hurt before by other people. Yeah. So, yeah, when you're overloaded and you're stressed, it makes it even easier to get upset at things,
Yeah.
And so don't
Everything, not
everything at
just
everything. Yeah. Yeah. So don't hold it against her, And I don't think you are. You're just worried about them, which is good. But yeah, sometimes we slip up, especially when we got a lot to handle. The more we have to handle, the easier it is to mess something up, especially in our relationships, because relationships are such a thing that are so demanding of us mentally and so fragile, particular, precise, so fickle almost. It's a thin line. Many relationships are a very thin line, a very thin rope. If you think about a lot of the relationships that probably any of you have in here, and myself included, you think about all those relationships and you realize how easy it would be to destroy any single one of those. A relationship, most of them are like walking on a sheet of glass because like if you jump too hard, it will break and it might crack first and you'll see those cracks and you're like, oh no, now I have to be really cautious.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's a lot of relationships. And the strength of that glass is unfortunately built upon testing it,
Mm.
going through hardships with that person, fighting your way through, and
Mhm.
building up that strength that you have together, that bond. Because a lot of you probably know this, when you glue things together, like you glue wood together, the wood is not going to crack where the glue is if you break it again.
Mhm.
The glue is
Well,
going to
depending
actually
on the
hold up
glue,
stronger.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're not talking about like Elmer's glue or something.
Right. No, you're talking about
Yeah.
actual like real glue that
Yeah.
yeah.
Wood glue, like professional grade, high quality glue. You glue something together and you try to break it again, it won't break where the glue is. And that's kind of also how relationships are sometimes. But on top of that, usually the stress that the glass can take is dependent upon the person. The strength of the love that the person has for themselves,
Mm.
their own sense of dignity and value, and their own virtues. If I have a friend who wrongs me, it's my own ability to get over that determines my relationship from that point on. Right? However, that ability can grow through my friendships. Learning how to trust myself or how to love myself or how to chase after those virtues, how to forgive others, which is one of the most important things for healing and most important things you can do,
Mhm.
is very dependent upon the other, or is very dependent upon, all of that is dependent upon me, but that is something that grows in those friendships. All of that can grow and blossom from my friendships. And many of it has. In my relationships with Joe, I've learned a lot and become a stronger person. And not often because we've tested each other by hurting each other, but more so because we're able to grow from each other's experiences and learn from each other and strengthen each other in whatever we were going through at any point in time. We were always
Yeah.
there for each other. And I think that friendship is really just that, being there for the other person when they're having it hard. Um, and so
Yeah, and
how can you,
Ryan, and once in a while, Ryan just hauls off and punches me in the face, and that that's
it
to test the water.
toughens the skin. Um, that's how they did it in Japan, and all those, ninjas, they would karate chop trees until their hands were stubs, but they
Yep.
weren't stubs. They would just like, had like cals this thick on their end of their palm, and they were able to,
Yeah. Ryan just comes
nuts.
to me like he's like, Joe, I'm gonna beat the ugly right out of you.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I do. He looks
And
so good
now
after
look,
I punch him a few
look,
times.
now beauty.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, okay.
Sorry, that's totally not true. That was all a joke.
Mhm.
So
They
anyway,
continued on saying, I don't know what's going on in her mind, but I'm worried about her. I honestly only care for her happiness. But lately, she's been ignoring me, and I'm trying to my best, but all I can do is trust her, not to hurt herself. Hmm.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Like I said, um, yeah, like Akil is saying, your intentions are really good. Yeah, absolutely. Um, and as long as it stays that way, you'll be able to understand her, and she'll she'll see how you care. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think Akil is 100% right on this. Yeah, science. You don't need me to beat you up to be beautiful, man. You're always looking good. Um. Anyways, yeah, I think it's very much like Akil said. If your heart is in the right place, that'll show.
mhm,
As long as you continue to show your heart. Don't. Here's the thing you have to prevent yourself from doing is reacting in a bad way, overreacting. All of this is going on in her world, right? One of the worst things you could do is overreact to this and cause even more stress for this person, right? If you overreact and you start freaking out, and you start messaging her like, every single like 10 minutes and being like, I'm so sorry, what did I do? Blah, 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 blah. Like, how can I make it up to you? All this, right? That's going to add on the stress.
yeah,
And that's not going to be, unfortunately, it doesn't show her that you care about her. It shows her that you care about yourself. So you really have to refrain, you have to keep yourself in check and make sure that you don't overreact. You don't call for her attention. Instead, try to be a light in her world.
mhm,
The best, like I was just talking about, the best influence I've ever had in any friendship ever is from people being healthy, from people having healthy thoughts and sharing them with me, from people being a light, a shining light that I can follow. And Joe's been one of those people in my life for sure.
well, you've
I
been one
think,
of those for me.
well, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad we can both be that for each other, And I think
Yeah.
that's what makes a really good friendship is that you're both shining light in each other's lives, right? And so I think one of the best ways to help somebody through anything is to to just be a part of their life in a way that is along for the adventure, willing to stick it through the hard parts, but always being willing to stand up and face whatever comes with joy. If you can show that you have joy in your life, that's attractive. People love joy. People want to be entertained because they want joy.
Mhm,
People go watch YouTube because they want joy. People do a lot of things in their life because they're looking for that joy. And if you can show that joy in your life, people will flock to you. People will want to follow you. People will want to be with you. And the thing about that is, it can be contagious. It can rub off on them. If you are joyful when you're around them, that'll make them feel more joyful. Want to be around you more, but more joyful, like just then they can see their world that they're living in a more joyful, more productive, more uplifting, more positive manner, right? And I think that's one of the best things you can do for people
mm,
is just be a light in their world and helping them along.
mm,
When things are down, when things are broken, if you spend too much time talking about it with that person, if you spend too much time talking about all the bad things with a person, that relationship might feel like you guys are close, and you guys are, but it's not a relationship that's building each other up.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I know this because I've been in been part of those relationships where, you know, if someone complains all the time, they're only gaining more of the habit to look at the bad sides of life, to be more stressed out, to, form all of these habits about looking at the bad and feeling bad and complaining and thinking life is not fair and I don't like it. And I don't like this and I don't like that and I don't like this and I don't like that. I just don't like things. And if you can move the relationship to the next level beyond that, and that is it's okay to share those bad things, but with the mindset of how do we make this better? How does life work itself around so that this is a good thing? Because all bad things can be good things. Just because we don't like them doesn't mean it's not good, right? We might not like, we might not like the taste of broccoli, but it's still good for our bodies, regardless, unless you're allergic to it, and then it's still good for your body, but your body freaks out. All right. All sorts of different things like that in life exist. Um, so I don't know. I would say the best thing you can do again is just don't overreact. Don't make it about you. Try to focus on them. Don't worry about getting their attention. Just worry about being a joy in their life and helping them feel like life is a joy to be in, and share that. Find for yourself, if you don't know what that is, if you haven't figured out, if you aren't enjoying life, start enjoying it. And that is all just your matter of perception.
Mhm.
You can change that. That is something that you have the ability to change in yourself, whether you like something or don't. So if you are looking at life and you say, I love that I live, I love that I exist. This world is so full of so many cool things. So many cool things. It's amazing. I am just so happy that I get to exist. I get to be alive. That is so cool. And then there's this other person that is also existing. And I'm so glad they're here too. If you have that mentality, you can bring that into their life. And that will take a lot of stress away.
Mhm.
And that will help them start to remove some of that stress, start to find the joy in the things that they're doing. Even though, yes, they're being worked to the bone, they can find the joy in there and there's no longer stress. You don't feel stressed out over the things that you are enjoying. You just don't. You don't go jump on a trampoline and be like, man, this is so fun. I'm stressed out to the max. You're like, you're not stressed. You're just like having fun jumping on a trampoline. There's no stress there. Until you fall down and you break your neck and there's, stress is applied to your
Then there
neck and
are
you're like, ow, I don't like this. Now stress has come, right? Stress is usually from those things we don't like. If you can be an example of someone who finds joy in everything and just be around that person with that sort of mentality, that will hopefully rub off on them and then the stress will lessen for them. Um, but yeah, I know you might have said a few more things while I was talking. So anyways, I'm gonna hand it back over to Joe and let him give you some wisdom.
There was a little bit that Marhandi put on there. I'm hurting knowing I can't actually be there to comfort her.
Hmm.
I hope she's fine, but I can't do anything but hope she doesn't try and hurt herself again. And then thanks for hearing me out, guys. So Marhandi, absolutely. um, uh, you go yellow. I've said what I needed to, and again, thanks guys for being around. I guess I'll just stick to waiting for her. That's sometimes that's all you can do, and especially in an online relationship like that.
Mhm.
Um, sometimes people are just gone from their computer for a while. And
Yeah.
much like in Cherry's case, sometimes people get sick, people have family issues, people are off doing stuff, people go on vacation, there's all kinds of different things.
People's
Um,
computers die. and their phones die.
They do. They do. They get viruses, and you got to call, your friend to drive down and, take out your hard drive and stick it in a freezer and, you know, like,
Yep,
so
absolutely.
there's all kinds of things that happen. Um, but so it really, the fact that she's not there talking to you, it might have nothing to do with you, or it might, and you don't know. And that's the hard, like, just like with what we were going through with Cherry's topic, that's the hardest part, is the not knowing. And I think that's the same for a lot of situations, not just situations with relationships, but also situations with money, with, you know, school, with all kinds of, there are all kinds of situations. It's just like, if I could just know what was about to happen, I'd feel much better.
Mhm.
But we don't, or if I just knew what was going on behind the scenes, I'd feel much better. Yeah. Sometimes though, we wouldn't feel better. Sometimes it would make us feel worse. But at the same time, while you're going through this, if you're the type of person who prays, this is the greatest time to do that. And Ryan was talking about how, try try as much as you can to take the focus off yourself and your own feelings and your own worries and stuff, which there are going to be there. You're going to have your own concerns about her, and then try and shift that focus onto her, and you know say some prayers for her. And you may find comfort in that, you may find peace in that. But these times of stress and hardship, and times like that, if you have any, if there's something you do that's creative, now's the time to do something, because you're going through this thing where you're a bit overwhelmed with concern. That energy that's being created, that's powerful. And if you can take, while you're in that state, and do what you do that's creative, whether it's writing, music, art, anything, graphic design, you know, whatever it
Making
could be.
necklaces out of corn.
Necklaces out of corn,
Yeah.
necklaces,
Corn
hemp and
necklaces.
corn necklaces
Yep. With rhino's teeth.
with rhino teeth.
Yeah, however you like to do it.
Yep. Whatever it is, I know from my perspective that my art form that I mainly do is music, and I know that I've created the best music when I was in a state like that of deep concern or regret or pain, just emotional turmoil. When there's a lot of that going on, I know that music, the music I create then is like, that's the best music that I've created. And so you can take that feeling and you can actually use it for something good. That's what they say. That's taking lemons and making them into lemonade or something, or
Mm-hmm.
like, yep. So Mahandi says again, I can't thank you enough. Well, thank you for sharing, and thank you for exposing a bit of what's going on to us and to others in the chat, because that takes a lot of courage sometimes, to do that. And so I really appreciate that. But Ryan really, really nailed it. I was just sitting back and listening to the stuff that Ryan had to say, and And as far as how you can kind of wrap your head around this situation, man, Ryan, I wished I would have had that talk at so many times when I was dealing with stuff in my life, when I was dealing with other people, when I was dealing with the pain of not knowing, when I was dealing with, wondering, just the wondering if, is this my fault? Is this something else going on? What's going on? And so many times we get wrapped up into ourselves. And I think it was funny. Like, there was a time when I can't remember what was going on, but my in-laws just seemed really, really upset, and there was all kinds of, it's really upsetting and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I must have done something. I always like put it back on myself. Oh, I must have done something. And my wife, actually, she said to me, the world doesn't revolve around you, right?
That's very nice of her to say.
And I was like, oh, you're right. And it turns out it was something going on with like my nephew or my brother-in-law or something. There was something going on. There was some dynamic that was just causing a lot of stress and anxiety and everything. And so, and it was all that. It had nothing to do with me. Like, in fact, me being the positive me actually was kind of like a breath of fresh air, amidst their world of turmoil and all that stuff that was going on. Like, when I would show up with a smile and just try to be loving and caring and courteous and all that, it was really kind of a breath of fresh air for them. And that's the same way with everybody, like Ryan was saying. Now, sometimes when you're depressed and when you're stressed and when you're all upset, the last thing you want to see is a happy person.
That's because you're in a bad place right there.
Yeah, the last thing.
You need to get out of there. If that's the last thing you want to see, you got problems.
Yeah, but it's true. And part of it, I think it's just because you're jealous. Like, how could you be so happy? Like, don't you know what I'm going through right now? Like,
yeah, you need to get out of that spot. That's not a good place to be. I tell you what.
It's tough. And so, yeah, so you don't have to be overtly extra super bright and shiny for this person when you do have those
that's
moments.
a good point. That's a good point.
But be loving, caring, welcoming. Envision yourself as someone with open arms. Like, hey, you are welcome here. It's a safe place. And if she's mad at you for something you did, then, and she says, hey, it really hurt me what you did, and I don't want to experience that hurt ever again. And you can say, you know what? At that point, what you do is you just say, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right that what I did was wrong. I didn't realize what I was doing when I did. I didn't think it all the way through when I did it. And because that's totally the case. Most of the time when we're doing stuff, with very rare exception, when we mess up and we hurt somebody's feelings, it's not like we were sitting there going, I just really want to hurt this person's feelings.
Never. Almost never.
There are times when people act that way. I've experienced that. Mm-hmm. Usually it's a vengeance type of a thing. Well, they hurt me, so I'm going to hurt them back worse.
Yeah.
But like the first hurt was an accident. Like, it was totally a mistake, So they're like, oh, they did that. Well, I'm gonna get back at them. You just wait and see what I do to them. I'm gonna not talk to them. Or I'm gonna make my life even worse. Like, so that could be the case. So the way to navigate that is to just apologize and be sincere
Mhm.
and just open up and don't justify what it was you did. You can explain it, maybe offer a little bit of an explanation if they ask for it, but mostly what it needs to be is, I was so wrong and I didn't think that through at all. I'm so sorry. Because what somebody, like, when we get hurt by somebody, we don't want to necessarily hear, well, I did it because of this and that's why. So you shouldn't be hurt as much because I didn't mean to do it. It's like, no.
I might be the only person that likes those.
You like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
because my question is like, why would you do that?
Right, yeah, well, yeah. So, but in
For me,
that
that's the
case,
only yeah.
yeah, in that case, when somebody's asking,
Yeah.
why, then it's appropriate to have the explanation because
Yeah,
they're
but
really
most of the
seeking
time,
what?
most people don't ever wanna hear, like, you to say, uh, "I did this, but only because this blah, 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 blah," and it's
Right.
like, that doesn't make it okay,
No.
from their
Right.
perspective, so that's you gotta
Right.
just not say those things.
Exactly. You start with the apology and you start with the, "I'm so sorry. I really didn't mean to do anything to hurt you, and I see that I did, and I am so sorry for hurting you." And you take and you put the blame, you just be a blame monger and like,
Mm,
take all of the blame, like it was completely your fault. And 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 show that contrition, that deep feeling of regret that you have for hurting them. And then from there, they might ask, "What were you thinking when you did that? Why would you do that?" And then you can explain what happened. "I was trying to help in this way, and I totally." And one of the things you can do that's also a little bit endearing is, even when they ask for the explanation, you explain it, and you can say things like, you know, "I thought I was being helpful, by doing this and this and this, and that was where my brain was at, but I can see that I was totally wrong in my thinking." And you can turn it back into an apology again. There will come a point when you have to stop and put it in the past. But one thing that we never seem to ask, at least I had a hard time asking until recently, but I have found to be very effective, is after you apologize, ask for forgiveness.
hmm,
I used to be like, well, asking for forgiveness is the same as saying I'm sorry, but it's not.
mm,
And I would kind of lump those into the I'm sorry, but man, I can't even tell you how much closure it's given to an issue when I have made my apology and I've told him I'm sorry and I've said that and then asked, "Will you forgive me?" In a way, it kind of puts him on the spot. And I have had to say, "You don't have to answer me that right now." But what it did was it made them think about it. Because remember what Ryan said, earlier. He said, forgiveness is what brings healing. And that's what really needs to happen here is healing. And if you give her a chance to forgive, her forgiving you is going to heal her in ways that you do not understand. In other areas, in all the stressful situations she has going on, for her to offer you forgiveness is going to heal her in a way that makes her stronger to deal with those issues that are going on outside of what's going on with you. So this is an opportunity, actually, like, for you to humble yourself and go and be contrite and sorrowful for what you did. And I can see that in your posts, that you feel that way. And so if and when you get to talk to this person again, you can express those feelings of, that remorse and that sorrow for what happened, and then ask for forgiveness. And then even if she doesn't forgive you right away, it causes her to think about forgiving you, which then might lead to her actually doing that, which then will heal her in ways. It will heal her heart.
Mhm.
And you may at that point have become the way for her to fix other areas that are going on that are stressful for her.
Mhm.
So yeah, I know it's a painful experience, and I know it's super hard, Marhandi, but I hope I know that a lot of the stuff Ryan said can really help the way you think about this, and hopefully some of the stuff that I have said can give you some practical things to do. But in the meantime, if it was me, I would pray. I would pray my guts out for her. And don't obsess. Don't spend it never is healthy for you to spend your life obsessing about the situation.
Mhm.
But pray. Pray hard. And then whatever you do that's creative, do it. Because those feelings are gonna just flow right through your pen or your instrument or your voice or whatever it is that you use, whatever tool you use in that situation. The passion and the emotion and the drama will come through in that, and it will create something very beautiful. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I have. So thanks again.
Mhm.
Ryan, did you
Yeah.
have anything else to say about this?
No, I thought that what you had to say was really good, really smart. With asking them to forgive, that's a brilliant move, because forgiveness is for them. It's not for you. A lot of times we ask people, "Hey, will you forgive me?" We think we're asking that for ourselves, but in reality, we're asking it for the other person so the other person can heal and get over it.
All
So
right,
the other
exactly.
person can move on. It's not for us. And so that question is absolutely brilliant. I love that. Loved it. That was awesome.
Yeah, it really does heal things better to
Mhm.
ask the question, "Will you forgive me?" I
Mhm.
know I'm
After
not the only
apologizing, yeah.
person. Yeah, I know I'm not the only person that just says, "Hey, I'm sorry,"
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
leaves it at that. But
I
to
mean, I
add
think
that
yeah.
question,
Yeah.
yeah. And when
Just
you say you're
rehabbed it
sorry,
already, dang it.
I remember somebody apologized to me one time, and I was like, that was the worst apology ever, because I had just I had bore my heart, bared my heart. I had laid bare my heart about this particular issue.
Bore. I think bore.
Okay. But that sounds like I put a hole in it, like I bored a hole in it.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. No, but that would be bored with a D at the end.
I bored it. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm bored with
I
it.
think that would be the D. I think it would. Man, I don't know. English, dude. So
I just
you opened
explained
your heart and
this
just
whole
let it all
yes,
out.
yes, I did, and I explained this whole thing, and I explained how it was frustrating because I was trying to fix the relationship. The relationship had a notch in it there, and I was like,
Someone
this.
bored a hole in your
Yeah.
relationship.
So I was explaining this situation. I was like, I was really upset and everything, and then the apology that came across was, "Well, I'm sorry that you got mad."
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm
Sorry.
like,
Oh
you call that an
no.
apology? Like, what the heck, man? Like, that was not at all an apology at all.
That was not
S-
an apology at all.
I'm sorry you got mad. Like,
Mhm.
you don't say, you never say, I'm sorry you. That should never happen at all.
Yeah.
It should be always like, I'm sorry that I did blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
Not, I'm sorry that you That sounds like I'm sorry that you suck. Like, but anyway, so sorry for going on about
I
this.
guess sorry that you had to deal with me. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think that's the only one I can come up with that starts with you.
Yes. It's science.
Yeah, that's it.
That's exactly how it felt.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry you got upset at my words that were totally correct, by the way. Now cheer up, idiot. Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
the feeling behind it.
For me, if someone said that, it'd be like, "I'm sorry you don't have control over your emotions. That's your fault, by the way, not mine." It's like, wow, thanks. Way to point out my own flaws for me. I appreciate that. That was quite the apology. I feel way better.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Akil, it's like shooting someone and then blaming them being in the way. Yeah.
In the way of what?
Of
The other part of you.
like
I was trying to shoot your
like
left shoulder, but your chest got in the way. So no.
yeah, it's like I'm sorry you got shot, but
I'm
you were
sorry.
kind of standing in the way. uh,
Hmm.
yes.
Anyways, yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Mahanda.
Yeah.
And I hope that things go well for you. Take it
Hmm.
easy. Be patient. Be very, very patient.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
being hurried and anxious and all of that is not going to help you. It's just going to make you really stressed out and do the opposite of what you want to do.
Mhm.
Um, so be patient. Be patient with her. Be patient with yourself. Um, but yeah, that's all I've got to say. That's all. So thanks.
Mhm. So Princess has one.
Mm-hmm. That is
Says
true.
ignore mine until you are ready.
Okay, we're ready.
Yes, but now we're ready. Oof, a hard drive popsicle, but don't lose hope.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait, that's not it. Okay, here we go. I think this is it. It says ignore mine until you're ready. And now we're ready, so
Yeah.
we're going to yours, Princess. So
Yep.
and it goes, so my childhood friend is suffering greatly at the degradation and loss of his relationship with his girlfriend. It's becoming a long trend of them having troubles with hurting each other. He originally was going to bring it up to her on a day he expected, but she canceled it. Then 4 days later, unexpectedly, he was put into that position. So currently, he's been really down from it. He said it was mutual as they both saw how the relationship was coming apart. Is there any words of comfort or advice that might help him, or any advice that I can do to help him get through this? He is a Christian, so if you have any verses or stuff, that would be good for this person too. And yes, I think that's it.
Hmm.
So, okay, so Princess has a friend who just broke up with his girlfriend, um, and it's really a hurtful situation. Um, yeah, they'd been. It sounds like the relationship had been kind of
Coming apart at the seams
growing.
for a long time.
Yeah, it's been coming apart. Yeah. So and then there it is. But yeah, it's always hard when it finally does come all the way apart. So
Okay,
um,
so yeah, I'm just to clarify that at this they basically broke up because he didn't say it, so I was just like
oh yeah,
not
the
sure.
yes, um,
Oh,
it
okay.
said the loss of his relationship.
Oh, okay, 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 yeah. Okay, yep, at the beginning.
So
All right.
yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's okay. They did about two
Mm,
days ago. They broke up. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, that's tough. That always is hard, especially if it has been kind of like a long going on, like if it's been a long-term relationship, and they were pretty close, and you know, depending also on how affectionate they'd been with each other, that plays into things as well. It can just add more layers to the pain of the breakup. So um, yeah, that's a it's a tough situation. So I appreciate you bringing this up for us, Princess, and hopefully we have some stuff that's gonna be helpful. Ryan's the best at being helpful, so I'm gonna turn it over to him, and
All right.
he's
Well,
gonna say
mine's
some
quick,
good stuff.
quick and simple. Tell me you should consider priesthood. What do you have to say, Joe?
Consider the priesthood.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And
Problem
just
solved.
say it like that.
Yeah,
Cold.
just cold, just straight
Cold.
out.
Just be like, hey, have you ever considered the priesthood?
Yeah, I see that you are not so great at relationships, my friend. What you ought to do is consider the priesthood. No, that's not necessarily the answer. Yeah, no, that's hard. It's hard for anybody who has to go through this. Like, relationships, again, they're very fragile. Just like I said earlier, it's like if you want to destroy any relationship, you can just do it. But building it and keeping it intact and keeping it maintained, it's a lot harder.
Mhm.
And that's the way things of value tend to be. The more there is good, the more good there is in a relationship, usually the stronger it is. The more evil that is in the relationship, the easier it just falls apart. And sometimes that evil isn't necessarily because of either people, but because of the ties that keep them together, or the past that they keep on thinking of. There are many different things. It could be an unforgiveness in their hearts that can cause the relationship to just not work. Forgiveness is crucial to relationships. There's all sorts of different reasons that we could surmise, but in the end, it is what it is, right? The relationship is broken, and it's come to a close. So how do you help someone through that? How do you help someone who's going through that? And I think, again, just because a relationship ends doesn't mean that your life is over by any means, right? Not only does your life continue on, but there's always that phrase, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And it's relatively true. But there are more important things in life than a romantic relationship.
Mhm.
I think one beautiful thing that you could possibly bring them to is, I believe it was Paul. I don't know where the verse is or even exactly how it reads, but it talks about those people who commit their lives to a relationship versus committing their lives to God. Um, People who commit their lives to a relationship will have it harder, not just because relationships are hard and they test us, um, but because it's harder to focus on the important things. Relationships are one of the important things, but on other things that are important, it's harder to focus on. It's harder to give yourself over completely to God, for example, if you're in a relationship, because you have to give yourself completely over to another individual. Um, and your mind is constantly going to be focusing on them, right? Um, so it can be a blessing to be removed from a relationship. And I think pointing that out can be helpful. Basically, what I mean to say is, if you can show them that there's a bright side to the situation, that'll help reform their mind about what's going on in their life and how they can move forward and what they want to do with their life now. Because right now they're looking at the past, right? And they're thinking about all the things they did wrong, and they're lamenting over it. They're mourning over it, right? They're mourning over their loss. They're mourning over the problems that they had to go through. And that in the end, they didn't, you know, stay together for life. In the end, they didn't get what they wanted out of it, right? But I think that is a turn of a new page and say, well, yeah, sure. You didn't get what you wanted, maybe, but you still got something. You've got plenty of memories to cherish if you want to go down that road. But besides those, you've got your own personality. You've got your own sense of being that has been able to increase and, be built up over that relationship and that time. A lot of the things that you've come to understand and know and grow in, and your understanding of relationships as a whole and how to make your relationships better now from what you've had to suffer through this one. Now you know what not to do on top of why not to do it and what good is on the other side of that. Um, and so I think if you can put them in them, if you can help them see the good, right? If you can help them see this isn't it, the future lies ahead, and the future is incredible and it matters a lot more than the past because the past cannot change. The past is important, and there's many things in the past that are more important than our future, technically speaking. But we can't change any of those things. And those things don't matter. Those things don't have to decide how we feel. We have to decide how we feel in the present. And so I think, again, if you can point them to the future and say, look, this is a blessing because now you're single. Now you have time to think. Now you have time to pray. Now you have time to pursue God or pursue whatever else it is in your life. Because when you die, that's it. That relationship is gone. For the most part, you're no longer in a romantic relationship with that person. You're no longer in a physical relationship with that person. When you die, you don't carry on that relationship past your death.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship mattered while you were alive, but it doesn't carry on past your death. So while it's important to have relationships and it's a good thing, it's not the end all be all of life.
Hmm.
And there are far more beautiful things out there in your future. So don't let this keep you or keep this person, don't let this situation keep them from being excellent, keep them from being joyful, because there's plenty of joy in the world to be had. But if you look at this and say, this is all that life had to offer and I got nothing, that's wrong. That's not even true at all. There's so much more. And this is just a small fraction of your life. And then when you die, there's all of eternity to live for. So don't worry about it. Like, this is nothing compared to eternity. This was this much time. Like, just don't even leave any space between your fingers, because that's how much time it is that was spent in that relationship. Even though, yes, it mattered. I'm not saying it didn't. But the point is to get them looking at the future with excitement. I think that's the best advice I could offer, is to try to figure out, what do you say to them to get them excited about the future, not looking at the past, because the past, not looking at that relationship and saying, oh, I screwed up here, screwed up here, screwed up here. Cool. Take all that with you. Where are you going? That's what I want to know. Where are you going now? Because you've got a body to move, a mind to think with, and God is at your side. Where are you taking him? Because he's waiting for you. Don't just sit there and mope, Anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe.
Yeah, I love what you were talking about. It's
I love you.
Wow, likewise, my friend.
Oh, okay. Darn. I thought I went up to you, but I guess we're on the same level there.
Nope.
Bummer.
Nope, not there. You can one up me in lots of other things, but not there.
Nope. I've never done it. I've been trying this whole time. I thought I had it right there. It was not it.
Not it. With regard to this, you said the relationship ended 2 days ago, so the wound is pretty fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like there's been a lot of wounding going on for quite some time. If the relationship has kind of been deteriorating and stuff, and then this is kind of finally the break, where it's over with. Um, you're dealing with a person who is in a lot of pain and maybe not thinking clearly because of that pain. And that, I mean, this is a stressful time.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being there is going to be helpful. Just being willing to communicate, just you don't even have to come up with the right thing to say. You don't even have to, you know, this is that type of moment where what you say is it doesn't matter as much as just the fact that you are there to be supportive. However, you can be present, whether even if it's just in a chat room and you're not saying much, but you're there, right? Or even if you're on the phone and you have long times of silence, you know, it's not necessarily about what you say. In fact, I recently had a situation like that. It wasn't a breakup. It was a friend of mine. His son actually died. He had a friend of mine. His son was, I think he was 19 or 20 years old. And he had some kind of condition, and I can't remember what happened. He took medication. He didn't overdose because he took too much of it, but he had a certain condition, and he took medication, and I think there was alcohol involved as well, and the mixture of
Oh,
the
yeah,
medicine,
yeah.
the alcohol, and this certain
Mm,
condition that he had,
no.
like that
Mm-hmm.
caused him to die. And but it wasn't like it wasn't purposeful, it wasn't whatever, it was just it happened. And um I remember calling him after I found out, and because he lives in a different state now. We used to spend every day, we used to work together at the same place, and then he moved away and I moved away and everything, and but we hardly ever stayed in touch. But when I found out about that, I called and I was like, "Hey, man, I just found out. I'm really sorry." And I just opened up and I was completely honest. Like, dude, I do not know what to say. I don't have any words. I don't know what I can say here. And he said, "You know what, Joe? It doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that you're here and that you called. That just that's the part that matters." Because really, in a situation like that, or in a situation like a breakup that's really hard,
Mm-hmm.
those are really hard. Those are painful times that I don't think there is any word or set of words that's going to take away the pain, or it's going to make you feel better. It's going to make it all better. There's nothing. That's a pain where it's going to linger for a while, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to deal with it for a while, and you're going to suffer greatly through it. And there's no words, there's nothing that can be done that's going to lessen the pain. I mean, you might find some comfort in some inspiring stuff or whatever, but it's going to be a hard time. It's going to be a painful time. There's no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you're there and the fact that you care, that's what's going to make the difference for them. Not because you have something to say that's going to cause the clouds to part and the sun to come through and it's going to be all happy again. But so you're already doing the most important part, and that's caring. So, I mean, if it's advice you're looking to impart, I mean, I can't get much further from what Ryan was saying and just trying to look to the future, because this is a time period, and I don't know how long it's going to be, but there's going to be a time period here that's really, really painful. And you can't get around it. You have to just go through it. On the other side of it, he could be a much stronger and better and more mature person for having gone through it. Like this is going to be a very beneficial time of suffering, because when we go through something this painful, we come out on the other side, we're changed. And the amazing thing is we get to choose whether we change for the better or for the worse as a response to this type of a situation. You know, I know people. Well, look, everybody's got a cell phone now. So everybody gets, once in a while, everybody gets an Amber Alert. That is the result of a little girl named Amber, who was kidnapped and then ended up being killed. I used to think it was like an Amber Alert because of the color amber, like red alert, red. But this isn't like that type of an emergency. So we're going to call it an Amber Alert. But it's because
you thought it was the color. Interesting.
Yeah, but it's because of a girl named Amber. And I remember at martial arts, that was one of the things that they talked about. They talked about the Amber Alert, and when they were working with the tiny tigers, the little kids, and they're talking about self-defense. And if somebody's trying to pick you up, if somebody picks you up, what you do, you make a lot of noise, lot of noise, yell and scream and say, no, no, no. And just, you're not my mom and dad. And you're screaming and yelling, you don't just scream, ah, because that could just be a kid throwing a tantrum. Mm-hmm. But you have to use words to say, help, help, help. You're not my mom or dad. You're a stranger. Get away from me. Put me down. Stuff, words. You have to use words and specific things to do. And it was all of this stuff is in response to that tragedy. So this is people making the world a better place as the result of something really horrible that happened. Now we can't get around, we can't minimize the bad thing that happened. It's still a tragedy, no matter how you slice it. This situation is still painful, no matter how you slice it. But what Ryan was saying was so important, because you can look to the future. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Cherry had the best thing.
But where's the sea?
Where's the sea? And then Akil, maybe you're more of a river fish type, Cherry.
Nice. That's great.
So that's awesome. But as time goes on, that pain will diminish. It is temporary, and it is going to pass. And you can let them know that no matter how much it hurts right now, yes, it's going to hurt. This is a very painful experience. And it's going to hurt for a while. But every day, you're going to be that much closer to the healing process. You can, if they're receptive to advice, then you can talk about the healing power of forgiveness. whatever hurts that this girl caused him, the more he forgives her for that, the sooner the healing will take place and he'll feel better about the situation. Because what's going to draw this out is all the hard feelings, just like but the more he can forgive, and as far as resources go, you can, if he's a Christian, can say, pray and just say, I forgive this person. Pray to God and say, I forgive this person, and God, I ask you also to forgive this person. And also to forgive him for the parts that he played in the situation. And then that God would wrap his love around this situation and heal them. That's like one of the ultimate prayers of forgiveness, is like where you're like, you say, hey, I forgive this person. I pray that God forgives this person. And I ask God to wrap his love around the whole situation and both of us, that we would heal through this process. And so that's a prayer that can bring healing and comfort. Another thing you can look up is by Saint Anthony of Padua.
Probably
Padua, called Be Satisfied with Me, by Saint Anthony. Of Padua.
It's probably Padua. Yeah.
However you pronounce it.
I don't know.
That has given me a lot of comfort in times of distress and relational distress. And yeah, if the guy's a Christian, that'd really be good. So that's I don't know what else I've got. Other than the fact that it's going to be hard, it's going to be painful. Forgiveness is going to heal that situation, faster than unforgiveness will.
Mm-hmm.
And what Ryan was talking about, looking to the future and then taking that time to get closer to God, and be satisfied with me prayer. It's actually a dialogue. It's actually more like God talking to you. So rather than it being a prayer to God, it's almost like it's like God talking to you rather than you talking to God. So but that it can be so impactful and help put the perspective on, just like Ryan was talking about. We put so much stock in relationships, and we put so much emphasis on having another person in our life to love and to cherish, which is great and hugely important. And relationships are wonderful things.
Mm-hmm.
They're also painful things,
which is also wonderful.
Yes. Yep. We consider pain to be bad, but pain actually has much benefit to it. Right now, my legs hurt like crazy. But what that's telling me is that I worked them pretty hard, and muscles are growing as a result. muscles have been destroyed and they're being repaired.
Good.
So yeah. So anyway, Princess, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks for sharing.
And Princess, for those of you who don't know, Princess is our chat room hostess, and she is so incredible at what she does. She keeps us on track. She helps all of you. Well, in those moments when we're talking, we can't necessarily always pay attention to everything going on in the chat, but she handles it so well. And I speak for Ryan and myself when I say we're so thankful
Yes.
for
Thank you.
Princess being here. And also, I didn't mention this before, but Jesse's our producer. Actually, I did mention it before because he's our producer and he's the IT guy who's probably working right now on the website.
Maybe.
Princess, you totally keep us on track because you those of you who have been here, you have seen Princess's comments. Guys, think we can actually do the show? Or okay, guys, enough about little Chinese sucker fish at the bottom of the river. Let's
Let's talk about that.
That's important.
Yeah. Jeez, how dare you? That's somebody's issue. We're covering it right now. Somebody out there is done with this.
That's right. They're coming up the Mississippi River. Like, man.
So what is that?
Yes, those carp. That that carp clubbing's like a thing now.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's going to be coming to Michigan.
Oh no.
Yeah, where you drive your motorboat and then the fish jump in the air and
then you swing a bat at them.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. It's terrible.
Like, what? Hey, carp have issues too. They do, man. Man, I've heard. Have you guys ever fished for carp?
I don't know.
It always seems like you'd hate it. Like it'd be just kind of nasty, coy. I'm actually talking about carp. I'm talking actual carp, which koi are kind of like carpish.
Yeah, but koi are like treasured.
Yes, they are. Yes. It's hilarious. My father-in-law was telling me, he's like, yeah, one of the best things ever. Go down to the Grand River in Michigan. It's like the toilet of Michigan, right? So like it's not as bad as the Flint River.
It's not as yeah.
But it's pretty bad. And especially down around the factories and everything. I mean, it's you can imagine. But he's like, yeah, you just go down the Grand River and you take a can of corn. This is going full circle. We were talking about corn earlier, making necklaces out of it. Here's another thing you can do with corn. Take a can of corn and you put some corn on a hook, right? And then you just dump a can of corn in the river.
Well, you put the can of corn on the hook?
No, you put kernels of canned corn on the hook, right? And then you just chuck the corn, and then you chuck the rest of it out into the river.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just all
That's
sinks
smart.
in there.
Yeah.
And he's like, won't be long.
Yeah.
You're going to have a carp on there.
That's smart.
And that's one of the best fights you're going to have. If you're into fighting fish.
Fighting the fish.
Fishing. That's what
you're into fishing to fight them. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun. I mean, they go crazy. What's that? Because when I think of a carp, I think of like this dead weight like fish, right? Like this big.
No, they're the ones that jump out of the water. They've got some fight.
Man, they got some gumption to them.
Nice. That's brilliant, though. Throw
Yeah.
a bunch of food in the water, then they're just gonna be like, "Oh yeah, all this is good. We'll just eat it, eat it,
Yeah.
eat it, and eat it. Oh,
Eat,
there's
eat.
that
And
one
that's
floating up
some
there. Grab it. Eat.
bang.
Oh, bang. Yeah,
Yep.
that's brilliant. How
Yep.
come I've never thought of that? That's
And the cool
brilliant.
thing is, since it's the Grand River, it's super polluted, so it doesn't matter. Like you throw the can in there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, great. It's true.
It'll probably disintegrate in not too long. I don't know if you want to eat the carp. Probably not.
Probably not.
You probably want to throw it back.
Yeah, how do we get to here? How do we get to this conversation? Literally by talking about how we get off topic, and then this off topic thing happened because
Yes.
Joe was going off topic on purpose. Here we are.
Princess is right. It does still matter. Don't litter. Don't add to the
You're right.
problem that already exists.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever. They'd be like, I just couldn't. It'd be against my body would be like, no, don't drop it.
Yeah. Yeah. The corn, though, the corn will get eaten. So that's, that's okay to put in there. But don't put the can or the label.
What about cream of corn?
That is not good for anybody.
I like cream of corn.
Cream corn? You like cream corn?
I like cream corn.
Ugh. It's like,
Apparently, homemade cream corn is actually really good, and it tastes totally different than cream corn from a can. I've never had it, but
grits. Grits are fantastic.
Yeah, grits are not cream corn, but grits are great too.
I love grits. Mm.
Oh, I could put cream corn in some grits. That'd be awesome.
Ugh.
Why not? It's corn with corn, and
why are you gonna wreck your grits, man?
You put you put cream in your grits anyways, right? Milk, right? So sounds great to me.
Yeah. So now that we're totally off track, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you guys for a great show. Like our website's down, so I wasn't quite sure how this was gonna work. We're just like, well, I guess it's gonna be a live show where all the stuff we talk about, comes to live. And then I guess if we get nothing, we'll talk about fishing with corn.
Yeah.
And
no, actually, it was really
we
great.
got to talk about that too.
Thank you all for participating and helping us come up with topics and stuff, because that was really, really helpful. Obviously, one of the people that our first comment came from is not here anymore, but yeah, thanks to everybody.
Yep. And Brandon, if you're still listening, yes. But next week, I imagine the website will be back up. We'll be able to handle your topics. So if you come back on Wednesday, anybody who has stuff in the queue on bss.studio, we'll be able to get to it next week. So again, as we go, if you have something that you'd like us to discuss, you can post it on our website once it's back up, bss.studio. You can email us at dww@bss.studio, or you can find us on Discord. Princess has put all that, Princess Yellow CDVNL or Static P. You can find us. You can direct message us there on Discord, and it'll be good. So you guys are amazing, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there it is. Princess is putting the contact info. That's it right there.
Thank you.
Bang.
You're awesome.
Princess, you're amazing. Jesse, you're amazing.
Yes,
all of you,
Jesse.
All of you that came and are watching, you guys are amazing. So
yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.